Alright, hello, my name is Bullets. This is my AGDQ 2021 submission video for Slowdrive. Slowdrive is a game about being a sloth, driving a car to from one side of the track to the other. Very simple concept. Kind of Trackmania, except you're a sloth. Counter to the whole idea of a sloth where you're slow. You would think that this game would make you drive really, really slow, and it would be one of these things where that's kind of a bit of a hindrance to it. But despite the name being Slowdrive, you actually, you're not going too slow. The whole entire level, or not level, the whole entire game in general is based off getting a certain amount of stars. To unlock the final area, you need to get 85 stars. So the entire run is routed to try to go through the levels that are as quick as possible to try to get the stars as quickly as possible. So even if we miss a few stars, which is kind of bound to happen based on just general little small things, since the 3 stars are actually pretty tight to get in this run. There's enough backups and different levels you can do that even if we miss a few stars, it's not really that bad. But obviously optimally we're getting 3 stars in every single level, but like I said, a lot of these levels are very, very tight for the 3 stars. You can miss it by milliseconds, actual milliseconds. So we're going through the first narrows area, which is kind of the starting point. We can do a little bit of a sequence break here, or skip around, going all the way around that loop, actually cut across here and just barely get by. Depending on how much you bump against the wall there, you actually can miss the 3 stars, but we end up getting it, which is nice. This level as well, which going straight forward actually is slower on this level. It doesn't seem like it would be, but one of the cool things about this is for every 3 sets of levels, you then get a medley level, which is all 3 of those levels combined together. And you'll see we can do some strats that we don't normally do, like because we're going so fast here, it's actually not faster to whip back around like we normally would. It's actually better just to maintain as much speed as we can and keep moving forward. Because we want to, if we go do that sequence break we did before, we'll end up facing the wrong direction, and we won't be able to do this. We won't get enough speed, because now it's faster to go over these hills because we get so much speed we can just hop over the top of that one and maintain a bunch of our acceleration there. So the medleys allow you to do different strats for things, and you have to kind of combine things together, so it really shows that you have that consistency to keep going with this stuff. But yeah, we're doing a lot of corner cutting for these levels, trying to hug the edges as quickly or as tightly as possible for each of these. But yeah, so we're still making it through the narrows area. We've gotten mostly 3 stars at this point. This level is just kind of cutting across the level a little bit and just barely touching the finish line. This is actually one of the most picky levels in terms of getting 3 stars. We don't usually get 3 stars on it, but like I said, the variance of that is kind of routed in. We're only looking for a certain amount of stars for each area. One thing we do, I'll talk about this later on a little bit more, but one thing we do want to do is, so each of the areas unlocks after a certain amount of stars. We don't really care about the final area, but for obstacles, which is the second to last area before you get to mist, which is the final one, it's got some incredibly quick levels. They're hard to finish, but if you can finish them quickly, they're very efficient to do. So we're actually going to try to spend as little time as possible in the second area. So now we're in the bonus levels, and we have about 30 something stars at this point. I'd like to have 40 after this point, but for these bonus levels, instead of trying to get to the finish line as quickly as possible, you have to touch all these circles and then get to the finish line. So the order you get to these circles is something that you can clearly decide to do. So we have to spend some time routing that out and figure out which one's the quickest for getting 3 stars. This one you have to brake and like just barely cut around this corner. But the routes you take always seem like a little bit, you're going out of the way and doing stuff in weird orders, but these are the ways that end up being the fastest for it. You just want to barely touch these circles as you're going around. Unfortunately, we missed that one there, but we're going to keep going for that. But it's pretty easy for restarting on these levels, since it doesn't make you play it out or anything like that. And a lot of the time, if you miss something, that's gonna cost you multiple seconds to get it. Like you're gonna go from getting 3 stars to maybe 1 stars. In the normal levels, you need to get 1 star in every level to unlock the Medley level. You need to get 1 star in all 3 of the levels to unlock the Medley level. And then you need to at least get 1 star in that Medley level to unlock the next set of 3 levels. So it's important not just to muscle through something. It's like, oh, I had a bad level, I'll just pick up the stars later. It's much better just to restart for those things. So we're going to cut across here instead of going around the loop, because you really just need to hug the ground here. Braking is really important as you're going up this hill. Otherwise, you don't have enough. You're in the air too long and then you hit the hill and kind of like bounce backwards. This level is deceptively simple, but it can be a challenge to get 3 stars on. If you look at the top right corner, it tells you the 3 star, 2 star, and 1 star times. And the difference between them is very small for 3 stars and 2 stars. So it's not uncommon to get like a 20-second time in like 10 milliseconds or something. It's not uncommon at all to have that happen. But after this, we'll be doing the Medley. This level is just about timing when you're gonna start slowing down, so you're gonna go as quickly. You want to hold gas for as long as possible, but still make it around this corner without like crashing straight into the wall. So there's a lot of precision with that and continuing with that. So this is gonna be the Medley. We're gonna do a different strat at the beginning here. So before we cut to the right, to kind of finish this level a bit quicker, but it's actually better to take this loop here for the Medley. Even though it takes longer now, we make up all the time in a few seconds here when we jump up here, because we're going to maintain some of that speed, and that's going to let us, instead of going up and down the hills, we're skipping hills for each of these, which is saving us a bunch of time. And then when we hit this final hill, we just get a big speed boost, and that's going to help us get to the next area, and we're going to maintain that speed all the way through. That's going to help us to skip this. You can keep your speed and just cut really close to the wall and just slam the side of your car into the wall. If you do that, though, there's a chance of just like falling into the water and some other silliness happening. But the end section of it's pretty similar to how it was before. Like I said before, we're not going to spend a lot of time in the second world. The second world has some of the longest levels, so we're just going to try to get through here and not spend too much time getting these stars, because it doesn't matter where we get the stars from, as long as we unlock obstacles and continue on to there. That's the most important thing for us. So depending on how many stars you have at this point, I have a counter on my phone that I'm tapping while we're doing this to keep track of how many stars we have. You can skip the Medley after this. In fact, you can even skip this next level that we were going to do because we have 60 stars already, so we are able to go here. So a lot of these are timing based, so you'll see that I'll tap, so the level doesn't start until you tap gas. That's when the timer starts, when you first tap gas there. And we wait for the cycles to start moving after you tap the gas, and you can just keep driving along. The timer in this game is a little weird. The timer is like integrated in with the setting, but you'll notice that it's not here for most of the levels. It's a little buggy with how the timer pops up, and there's no real way to force it to appear. So, but yeah, timing just when you gas there so you can get across, keep most of your momentum and not fall off. This one's very timing based for when you brake, so you can keep your momentum. If you gas too early, you run into the wall and your car kind of pops up into some weird things. So you have to accelerate just the right time. Well, a lot of these times are very close, especially the 3 star and 2 star times, because they're based off you hitting a certain cycle, like based off of you hitting this cycle right here. Cutting through here and getting just barely onto here. But the more important cycle is the final cycle. And it's not uncommon to fall off to that second platform. The second platform is very hard to hit the cycle for, but the third cycle is the one we really are trying to get. So we need to get across this finish line before it starts dropping down, so we can brake here and we wiggle a little bit just to make it take a little bit of longer path there, so we don't have to like slam on the brakes quite as much, so we can keep some of the momentum. But yeah, a lot of obstacles is very cycle timing based, like getting through those boxes and maintaining your speed enough. We just have to accelerate, and for this one the queue is pretty easy for it. Just when those two boxes slam together, you can start accelerating, just keep accelerating, and everything will kind of get out of your way. It's actually pretty hard to get onto this box here on the first cycle. You would think you want to cut the corner really close when you're going up the hill, but it's actually better to stay up far on the outside because you have to keep your speed. A little bit counter to what you would think you'd have to do. Obstacle, like I said, has a lot of short, quick levels, but that are difficult. The medleys are actually, some of the medleys, like this one, are shorter than entire levels, or singular levels in the second area, which is why we prioritize getting here. But, so we're gonna get on this platform, and then we should be done pretty much with obstacles. We check our star count when we get over to here. We do have mist unlocked. So mist is the hardest by far area in the entire game, including the final level for it, which we'll be getting to, Mist 12. But even these beginning areas, like this first level, probably the easiest one, you can still mess it up. The second one here, very timing based for when you turn here. It's really hard to turn this corner and maintain enough speed because you need to make it across here, and you have to line up with that pillar and make sure that you don't fall, or you don't tap it at all, or you lose too much speed, or you get redirected and don't make it across. There's a really fast cycle you can hit for this. It's pretty much not really worth going towards and trying to get, because most of the time you get launched in a weird way, but we have to use this box actually to launch ourselves across here. Also, Mist has some really cool medley strats, which we'll be showing off in a second here. This is probably the coolest one. Other than the final level, which is just really difficult. But we can get enough speed on this level to actually pop ourselves up here and skip doing that section. Though you do lose a lot of traction in the grass, so you have to be really careful. And we have just enough speed to get up here as well. And instead of using the box, we can launch ourselves all the way down here across the finish line, which we have to do blindly because there is mist everywhere, which does make it hard to direct yourselves. One thing to note is, since we have all the stars we need, the stars we get don't matter anymore. Obviously we want to get 3 stars because we want to be going quickly. But if we're struggling on a level, as long as we get a star, it's fine. The only level we don't even need a star on is the final level. If you get 0 stars on the final level, you still complete it. We have to do a bit of a maze here. It's kind of hard to tell where you're supposed to go when you do this normally, because you just have all these different like ways you can go and kind of drive around. But if you go across here and just make a blind jump into the mist, you'll find the ramp is over here. So this is the second medley. It's got some interesting stuff as well, especially at the end. You did notice a couple levels before this, there was a strat where you literally just reverse backwards and fall into the finish line. Unfortunately, we can't do this here because that part's blocked off, but it's a fun little silly thing you can do that makes I guess it's the easiest level in Myst. I said the first one was, but that one technically is, I guess, since you don't do anything. But so we're gonna get enough speed here to just jump straight onto this ramp and go across here. We're gonna barely have enough speed to make it across here and to keep going. So we're in the final 4 Myst levels. These are the hardest levels in the entire game. These are the most difficult things, especially maneuvering in the dark, but also making these jumps and maintaining our speed, because if you lose a little bit of speed here, you can't make this jump. Like, we're barely gonna make this jump here and keep going. Now the second level, you need to intentionally pop your wheel up and drive with just one wheel across here. Got a little bit stuck there, unfortunately. My wheel was just didn't stay up for long enough. So we're gonna go all the way across here. It's always a little sketchy doing that level. And now we have the final level before we do the medley. And we have to drive along the side of the road here to get across. And keep going, but once you do that, it's a lot easier. That's probably the hardest part at the beginning. The other hard part is this hill. It doesn't seem like it's difficult, but you don't want to get too much speed going up this hill, because you get too much speed, you pop over the top, and you don't get enough speed going down, and you miss this jump here. If you don't get enough speed, you fall all the way back down, there's no way to get back up the hill. So now all this needs to come together into one medley level. And this medley is incredibly difficult because it's the 3 hardest levels all together without stopping, just going, because you need to maintain your speed. So once you get to this first area, the second one's easier because now we can maintain our speed, but we're going to do a skip at the end here, and to do that we need to keep a lot of speed. So we're going to actually pop up this ramp here and get up onto the grass. You can even pick up the little collectible there as well. But we need to make sure our speed isn't too much going up here, and then line ourselves up right at the end, and that's going to get us across here. So that is Slowdrive. Really excited to show it off potentially for GDQ. It's just, there's a lot going on with the different tracks, and especially the finale is really exciting, so I'd really enjoy showing it off, and thank you for considering this game.